Hello guys, welcome to math videos from 2019 for the next decade. Today I would like to show you how to find, wrong layer, how to find missing lengths using sine rule. Cool. So I have here a little character named Uncle Liam, and who will help us out through this short little course. So we have some fundamentals here, and well, the notations of a triangle and the formula. So the notation of a triangle for this type of application is usually each point of the triangle is assigned a variable, and they're usually A, B, C in capitals, and the lengths opposite of the angle is the little variation. So I'll leave some blanks, obviously, so we can write it down. So the opposite of A is this side, because these two cannot be opposite because they're both adjacent. So this get the little a and this one get the little c. Oops. I'm screen recording and I'm running out of calls. So it will be like this. And you can quickly imagine this as like the Star of David. A little bit naughty, but yeah, it works. So if you want to practice out, I have this half filled out triangle as an exercise. And this formula, it will be very important for sine rule. I think it also works with the other ones like cosine and tangent, but I'm not sure. Go try it out maybe if you want after this video. So all of these, I guess these sets are related to each other because they're all equal to each other. And it also works vice versa, like the opposite. But I'm not exactly sure what they're called. But quickly memorize, it's not that hard. It's basically little a over sine a. And to put this into practice, I have a little exercise. So most likely you find in your textbook or your artificial problems that your teacher created, say like, who knows, there might be a TV around this shape and you want to find the length for this one. And it makes some really absurd like applications. But anyway, I have the formula already written down. We won't be needing C because C is not involved, but it also works with C. So for this to find the missing length, we want to find B, is you need at least three variables to find the rest of the triangle. Like we can find the degree of this one by adding these together and minus it by 180, and then we can do the same thing. But anyway, to find B is first we've got to substitute the value into the formula. It's pretty straightforward. Everyone can do this. Oops, just erasing carefully. So substitute the value. So little a equals to 7.6, and big A equals to 58 degrees. Trying to be neat and tidy, like my Viscom teacher, but if you look at her works, it's always sloppy. And big B equals to 80 degrees. Okay, so now we got everything substituted. Now we got to find B. And to find B, if you remember from finding X, which you most likely forgotten, is very simple. You have to do the opposite. So what's the opposite? So basically what we've got to do is get rid of the sine 80 from this side of the equation. So the opposite of the fractions, which is divide, is timesing. So we have to times everything, well, both sides of the equation, sine 80 over 1, because everything's over 1 if it's a positive. And we do that to the other side. Oops, we need a little bit more space, so we get my lasso tool and Command T. Deselect. Alright. Times it by sine 80. Oh man, that looks really weird. Very important that you write these properly. You know, a 0 can easily become 6 if you're not being careful. Like that. You know, some people can misread that as a 6 somehow. Anyway, so now we just have to simply do this problem. So sine 80 over sine 80, they cancel each other out, and 1 times nothing is 1. Well, it's nothing. 1 0 times 1 is nothing. So it becomes b by itself. Oops, try to be careful. And then we basically, that's scary Siri. And then 1 times, ooh, wrong brush. 1 times sine 58 is sine 58. So we just basically, we won't really do anything. We won't really try to get this big. Undo, shift. Oh, come on. There we go. Pretty lines, because we want to be neat. So sine 80 times 7.6 and 1 times sine 58 is simply 58, because 1 times anything is just that product, I guess. And all that, and this fraction equals to b. If you're like a super genius and you remember your sine tables, you can do this in your head, but unfortunately we're not, and most likely in your tests they will give you a calculator when you do trigonometry. So I'm going to open up the best browser in the world, which is Firefox, because it's open source and it's free, and it's pretty, I actually really like Firefox. So I got the calculator on the web browser, and we're just going to simply type down what we have into the calculator and see what we get. Make sure you close brackets, because who knows how your calculator, and some calculators are like really sensitive and they will freak out when they done parentheses, it's not closed. Divided by, oops, command G, I don't want that. There we go, sine 58, close brackets. So once you type in your equation and you press equals, you might get the wrong answer, and I definitely noticed the wrong answer because I actually had this type thing like planned out. Your calculator could be in radius, and this is actually super important in the future, because this around year 10 you will do this or somewhere, and you have like these fancy calculators like Texans, like CAS calculators, or like the ones have a screen and they have like an OS and firmware, and they usually are like really smart, and you can get really specific. You can do pretty mediocre stuff, like it's just as powerful as a phone, actually a little bit less. But anyway, they probably most likely have a default radians, so it's super important. If you get the wrong answer, you need to switch over to degrees. Like I actually found out, I actually had my calculator in degrees and in default, and I failed entire tests because of that. So anyway, now we press equals. Now we get the right answer of 8.8. So now b equals to 8.8, and usually 1 decimal place is accurate enough. But if the question, like say to the 69th value, I guess you have to write them all out, or you can do some rounding, I guess. A good habit to do when you're doing like formulas is to highlight your answer. So for you and your teacher or whoever's been looking this in the future knows that is the answer, and it's fairly easy to look at. Your homework now today is to download Firefox and do what your teachers say. Have a good day.